Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you please have a moment of silence. We certainly have enough to have a feeling for here going on in our country. Thank you. Madam Pro Tem.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda adoption, any additions, deletions, corrections? Chairman, will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. All in favor, aye. All opposed, likewise, motion carries.
Thank you. How are you? Good to see you.
7:03.
What?
7:03, you're on.
I was going to take a lie. I'll be in bed by 8.
We can choose which is fine. Ladies and gentlemen, we enjoy doing things like this. Brock's Cleaners has been here for 75 years. I've known this man most of that. We go back a ways. I've worked with both his kids. Brock's Cleaners' 75th anniversary proclamation. Whereas Marion Brock was born in the town of Cron in 1917, he grew up on Maple Street, worked with horses as Pinecrest Inn and for other prominent local equestrian families, traveled extensively with the Kimberleys and as a chauffeur for Mrs. Matthewson's family, and served in North Africa in World War II before building Brock's Cleaners in 1947 with assistance from his mother and a bank loan, and opened for business in February of 1948. And whereas Marion Brock and his wife Iola operated Brock's Cleaners for more than 34 years with a staff of 8 shop employees and 3 truck drivers, becoming the biggest dry cleaning establishment in Cron, and servicing many neighboring towns and hamlets, as well as notable customers such as Oak Hall and Pinecrest Inn. And whereas on September 1st, 1982, Wes Sessoms of Hendersonville, North Carolina, a graduate of App State University with a Bachelor of Science in BA Business Administration and Management, who had been involved with dry cleaning and carpet cleaning at 1 Hour Mark Eisman in Hendersonville since 1972, purchased Brock's Cleaners from Marion Brock. And whereas Marion and Iola Brock remained on staff at Brock's Cleaners as consultants for Mr. Sessoms during his first years of ownership, and Marion Brock became active in programming for the Cron Lions Club and performed music with local bands during his retirement, earning the nickname Music Man. And whereas Wes Sessoms earned a scholarship and attended the International Fabricating Institute in Silver Spring, Maryland, graduating 3rd in his class, and managed S&S Carpenter in Hendersonville concurrently with his early years of owning Brock's Cleaners. And whereas under Wes Sessoms' leadership, Brock's Cleaners won the 1964-65 Prime Chamber of Commerce.
I was never 64. I was 8 years old.
That's probably a typo. Whereas Brock's Cleaners, I'm too old in there.
Great guess.
Wes Sessoms and his staff have continued to successfully and diligently serve the dry cleaning needs of the area throughout the present day, which will mark Brock's Cleaners' 75th anniversary of operation as of 2023. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, J. Allen Peoples, Mayor of the town of Cron, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim 2023 to be the official 75th anniversary celebration for Brock's Cleaners. To recognize the historic significance of Brock's Cleaners to the town of Cron's business community, and to encourage the citizens of Cron and the surrounding community to participate in celebrating the milestone. Adopted the 19th day of September 2023.
Mr. Brock gets to stay long.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I would love to stay and talk, but I got up at 3:30 in the morning, I'm going to the.
Thank
you, guys.
He's got to be the player.
If you speak.
No speech? No speech?
Mr. Brock, Mr. Brock stayed for about a week, and the previous 3 years he's there forever. He said, Wes, you got the keys, goodbye. Mr. Brock, when I bought that place in 1982, Mr. Brock, I called him and I said, you know, a guy owns a radio station here in Tryon, Tom Simpson and
John Tool.
yeah, and they had a little radio station up in Lake Lanier, and the guy came up to Hendersonville to sell us an ad. And he said, Mr. Brock's going to retire to sell the business. So I called Mr. Brock up, and he said, well, we can meet. And I met with him. I never heard from him for months. So I went to Salute. I was looking at a Gulf station up there with a laundromat behind it. And Mr. Brock called me and said, would you like to meet me at Lake Lanier Tea House? And I said, well, sure. I called my dad. I said, God, it's been months. Mr. Brock called me. Mr. Brock called me. He said, well, go meet him. I said, okay. I said, we worked out a deal. He said, well, that's great, son. And then years later, before Mr. Brock died, he came to me and said, you know, your daddy called me. I said, what? I said, my dad called you? He said, I know the boy has no money. He's going to give you very little money. He said, he'll pay you. He said, I had a lot of offers to buy this cleaners like this. You know, give him a little money. He said, but I'm too old to come back into this business and rebuild it when he fails and leaves. And he said, the boy will pay you. And I didn't know this for years until Mr. Brock came and told me one day. And so my dad never told me. And I've been there for 41 years, and it's just been hard work.
And you paid him.
And I paid it. I sure
paid
did. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Wes.
Item 6, consent agenda adoption, additions, deletions, corrections, clarifications. Madam Chairman, entertain a motion to adopt. Aye. Both likewise, motion carries. Item 7, downtown entrance sign.
Last month, we talked about putting an entrance sign and you okay keeping the sign up there. And so Tim Daniels provided some ideas. You didn't want to order the sign, he actually looked at it. So I guess, Tim, you had shared that with everybody.
Yeah, I think it's in the packet. As we talked about last Friday at that meeting, we kind of narrowed down the options and then I just gave you a couple more options off of that option. So if you guys just want to pick one of those signs, we'll move forward with it. Is it in the packet?
Fine arts and.
Yeah, I know what picture you're talking about, but you said it's in.
Oh, I thought it was in the packet.
I think we had, selected the first one.
Right, but I made, like you had mentioned, you don't like that logo, so I changed that up.
Yeah, I had it. Yeah. Right here.
Well, I do have a comment about
I thought it was good.
that. I passed to Tim earlier. The historic district is a national designation. The arts district is a local designation. And the protocol is that those words should be reversed.
It's actually one of these, Chris, with Morris and the.
Which word you
No, the Tryon Historic and Arts District.
Yes,
It's going to
Oh, I got you.
because one is a national designation and one is a local designation.
That probably makes a lot of sense, that historic first. That's the over the entire downtown.
Well,
I guess it's up to what color and if you want more.
I like the red, but you know me, I like bold colors.
I kind of like that too, with
Yeah.
that. No.
The whole sign,
Which one's the new logo?
I'm sorry?
Took the new logo lettering out.
I did.
Yeah, that was the original one you had the new font.
I did.
Yeah.
But I,
Rubbed in the bar.
yeah, that, I got an objection. to that
Anyways,
one.
this,
That one is just a generic block font.
Yeah, but the colors is what it's not. Yes.
I think it was that passed around.
Okay, what's the, is that number 3? There should be a number next to it.
Yes.
Number 3. Okay,
You have to turn the historical parts and stuff around.
yeah, I'll transpose those, that's easy. So, number 3 it is?
I'm fine. Everybody good?
With the word change.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, agriculture.
We'll just move off this.
You have a question?
Mayor, can I ask a question, please?
Yes,
Do we?
please identify yourself.
I'm Jenny Crowe, I'm a town resident, and thank you. I just wondered if any of our branding that we bought and paid for was considered in any of this artwork.
It was looked at that and the board didn't like it. And
Okay,
that's why I reverted to the history of the horse, the way it's looked for
Right.
working on 100 years.
right,
And that's why we went back to that. There are other things that can be on the, we wanted that later.
okay. Can I also ask, in addition to the sign, will there be any, re-landscaping, reconfiguring of the signs that are in place now? Because there's a plethora of them, there's a lot of piranhas and lions and, you know.
We
Did you
discussed
address
that at our
that?
meeting.
Yeah, I did inspect a couple of those, they need some updating, especially the one down by the state line. We are looking into that, we're gonna get rid of the Lions Club sign, because we don't have a chapter anymore. I'm gonna reach out to the other organizations to see if they wanna update their signs, because they are a little weathered. Some of the information, I mean, they're still talking about contracts and whole meeting. We're gonna.
Okay, also, I know somewhere in the bowels of some file cabinet, there was a plan that Mark Byington did about landscaping both entrances to the town. I'm sure he knows where it is, or he may have a copy. Would that be useful at all to consider weaving into a new sign or not?
I can't answer the question because I don't remember that.
It's there.
You know, I'm not disputing that, I'm just saying I don't remember.
I can certainly be in touch with him and find out if he has copies of it, because I think that would be helpful to,
Well,
you're going to the trouble of putting up new signage, you know, to address the area around it and make it, you know,
I think stepping up the areas around it would be a good idea.
great.
At the entrances to the town,
Yes, of both
mix it up with
entrances.
some planters.
Okay, I will get in touch with him if that's okay with y'all.
Yes, you just have him call the manager.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I can make just a short comment. Sorry, Bill. From a marketing standpoint,
Wait, please identify. I know we know, but make sure.
Shelley Sally. The black and white is much more readable than the red.
You're right, it is.
That's,
From this distance, it is.
do you see it from here?
I do, but I don't see the red from here.
They're very good.
You want to make your motion?
Yeah, that's the picture number 2.
So are we going,
I don't know, that's not that
I
important.
don't know.
okay,
I
are
don't care.
Well, again, it's gonna be X size. It's not gonna be this size.
right.
But still, people driving by.
And maybe we can get a paper mock-up,
Yeah, I can do that.
yeah, and see how it's gonna view. And thank you, and look at it that way, I just like the colors.
Okay, so do we want the
And I would,
Four,
I would also
Number 4?
consider
isn't that number 4?
Yeah. Where you have the arcs, you can't see the arcs with the colors on it.
The flooring around it.
So I,
Okay, just give us a mark.
It's all alike. Okay. It's all the letters alike.
Okay. Next item, Public Works garage relocation. Jim?
Mayor, we talked about this on Friday at the planning session. We retained SDG Engineering to evaluate the relocation of Public Works garage, moving it out of downtown down to the sewer plant. And on July 11th, we held a meeting, 2 meetings. The first meeting was a stakeholders meeting with all the business owners of downtown to get their ideas on what that existing location could be. And then the second meeting was with all the public works supervisors and public works director to go over what do they want to see in a new location. And August 21st, we got the report back from the engineer, and we shared that with the council. And basically, there was 2 locations. Site A is you go into the wastewater plant where we had the brush pile, and site B was as you go past the op center. And so staff recommends site B for a lot of reasons. It's close to the activity of the wastewater plant. We want to get a geotechnical analysis of that site to make sure before we spend more money on it. And so based on the review we've done so far, we have 3 recommendations. One is do a geotechnical services analysis at the wastewater plant for site B. The second one is get a survey done on the existing site. There's 2 parts of the town owns. And the preliminary work, it shows that the entire parking lot belongs to the town of Tryon. But we'll find that answer out on the survey. And the third one is asking SDG engineers to help us on grant funding for this project. I think if you go through Diener, we might be able to get a $500,000 grant. And we want to do the public works garage plus some other improvements of the wastewater plant, which was built back in 1969. So the total cost was $12,000 for the geotechnical, $14,000 for the appraisal, and $4,000 for the grant agreement. And the cost will be shared equally by 5 departments, $6,140 each. We'd like to get the survey done and get the geotechnical done for site B, and then come back to the council before we go any further. There's no reason to spend money in designing it if that site can't work. But the day we did the visit to the site, the engineer came out there early in the morning and had a surveyor stake the entire floodplain and so forth, so you could see the areas that were buildable. So it is, on the surface, it appears that this could be a good move. Getting the public works garage out of downtown, which has been an eyesore, it's not the most attractive.
We've been talking about it.
And also too, I know we were talking about it years ago, and I come back and it's still there. But this is the furthest along we've ever gotten at this point.
We need a motion then to.
So we need a motion if you want to proceed to the next step.
Yeah, make that motion.
All in favor, aye. Opposed, likewise, motion carries.
Wait, I had a question.
Yes.
Warren Carson, Eastside Citizens Advisory Committee. I'm wondering if since you have met or plan to meet with stakeholders, if there's going to be any meeting with the residents of East Tower Street, which is the likely avenue that all the additional traffic is going to travel. Narrow road. We've had multiple problems with speeding. Narrow road. To this point, at least, there have been no conversations with anyone who lives along that stretch of town. There is another way to get to or from the location of the garage now to the Bond Street area. That's going over New Market Road. Now, that does not seem to me to be a likely plan of travel. East Tower is the obvious way to get there. It's the shortest distance, but it's a residential area.
It has no sidewalks for kids to walk along. We've been down this road before, but I guess I'm just, I'm just astonished that there's been no conversation with the residents of the area at all, no mention at all.
To be very honest with you, Warren, I wasn't even thinking about the traffic going down each tower. I wasn't even, I should have been thinking about it, but I wasn't thinking about that.
Well, thank you, Bill, but that really is something that everybody needs to be talking about. Because if you're going to add not only to the volume, but the frequency of the traffic, you can't even get a school bus and the garbage truck passing one another on that straight without somebody having to pull over. It just, I mean, it makes sense in terms of moving the garage to another location. It makes absolutely no sense if you're going to ignore what is a current and potentially an even greater problem with the traffic that goes up and down there. People live there.
And we were just pretty much focused on the fact that we had that property.
Yeah, I understand. I'm not quibbling about that. Most places are moving those garages out of the city center and going elsewhere. That part of it makes perfect sense to me. What does not make sense to me is that there's been no consideration of any improvements to East Howard Street, and that's going to carry not just the bulk of the traffic, it's going to carry all of the traffic. At any time there's a street in town closed, all of that traffic is sent down that way without any regard to the speed or volume of it. It's just unfair. It hasn't been. It hasn't.
Warren,
Yes.
it would be easy enough to add improvements to Howard Street to the school. And that should happen. I work with
Thank you, Bruce.
I mean, the town boards can add that to the engineering stuff.
Being naive and not thinking about that, I already assumed we were gonna go in the back way because that's where we needed to go. We didn't need to drive through a neighborhood to get the trash trucks.
But the back way is New Market.
And that's a residential section.
And it's,
But it has 2 lanes and room to go in there, more or less.
it's a windier.
And we are right back where we are in a small town that was designed 100 and some years ago. Nobody thought anything would be this big, this long, or drive this fast, and yet we're faced with all 3 of them. So,
Maybe a part of the study to see what we can do with Howard.
Look the route and the impact on the neighborhood, like make sidewalks like a condition for this project, make sure the road is widened and paved and so forth.
You could get a traffic study done by engineer.
Was that to the task of the engineer?
Yeah.
But you have to come back to find out if the site is doable.
Right.
And if the answer is yes, then we get marching orders to the engineer, what we want impact, and also have a public hearing to get input from the community as well. Agree with the next step.
okay, look into that. Yes, ma'am.
Royce County. Case in point, today we had a gas leak at the foot of New Market Road. The traffic that has been on Whitney and Second Street has been unbelievable. People trying to come up Carson Street and there's barely enough room for 1 car, never mind 2. And it's the same way on Howard Street. And there was not one single policeman up there on Godchild Hill to direct traffic. And as we came down Carson Street, the lady who was approaching us did not want to move over. She just wanted us to run into bushes on the side of the road. You can't just reroute everybody and not put some kind of law enforcement up there to help contain the traffic. That should be obvious from the times we've done parades up there on that street and all that traffic goes up there. And nobody, they just let them go. Nobody watches them. I understand where Warren's coming from with the narrow road, because we have the same problem where we live, and that's going to affect New Market Road.
Thank you. Item 9, capital equipment purchase.
again, we shared this project with council, is, recently we purchased, two, police vehicles from Vic Bailey, Spartanburg, because we've been waiting for almost 2 years to get the vehicles from stocks. And then, the police chief and I went through the replacement vehicles, and all the vehicles in fairly good shape. We have 2 new ones coming in, they've already arrived. And then Stocks got hold of us recently that they're gonna have 2 vehicles coming in October. And looking at the fleet, the oldest one's a 2012, and I could plan on coming to the FY25 budget and asking for approval. And it was taking like almost 2 years to get a vehicle. So our thought is, since Stock's gonna have a vehicle we could buy, they replace that vehicle now and won't be asking for any vehicles in FY25 or FY26. We'll buy 3 vehicles now. That's one item. The second item is in the street department, the side mower that we currently have was purchased when I was here over 20+ years ago. And it's worn out, it's beyond its life. And we had a price in the budget of $115,000. We went out to bid on state contract pricing, and the lowest bid was John Deere, which was $30,000 higher than the estimate. And we'd like to amend the budget for that amount, and then finance the lawnmower for 10 years, not 5 years. Because the other one lasted 20 years, so a 10-year loan makes sense to me. So basically, the recommendation is to purchase the 3rd police car, which is one I'm going to ask for next year, from Stocks Ford, and that $56,000 covers the price of the vehicle and all the add-ons. And then the purchase of the sidearm mower and tractor from John Deere at a cost of $144,546. And that will increase the loan proceeds from $227,000, which was in the budget, to $313,000. And we'll come back to you next month. We're gonna go out to bid with several banks to get the best financing for both of these items. Any questions for the chief or not?
We can afford it, right?
Yeah. Well, by financing it, I think it spreads the cost over several years rather than taking a big hit. So I'll show the cash flow to the budget as well as the interest rates and the payments that's going to be. But you'll get a chance to vote on that again next month.
Item 10, ad hoc committee for Harmon Field Community Center.
Okay. At the Harmon Field Board of Supervisors meeting, they're approached by a group to consider changing the master plan out there to add location for pickleball courts. And they retained Deborah Torrance to help with grantsmanship on it. And I met with Deborah recently, and she's run into a little bit of a block wall that it's difficult to raise pickleball courts from certain sources. She contacted the Dogwood Trust up in Nashville, and they don't fund recreational thing. So she and I were sort of on the same page. I've been out to that library media building, the former middle school. The ceiling is caved in, the roof's fallen in. But if you look at it, the bones of the building, the foundation and the walls are in great shape. And so what I like to do is, in my career, nothing happens unless you write it down. So I like to get a committee form of people interested in 3 things. Pickleball, which we already have a group, working on that. 2, I'd like to bring back the community gardens. That would score a lot of high points for the grant people, which used to be out there. And thirdly, to restore that building into a community center. I think we could do it for like 1.2 million. And I built one in Brevard at 2.3 million from ground up. But here the foundation's already there. So, but I'd like to get citizens and nonprofits together and try to go as many sources. And Deborah's got a lot of ideas on places to go to for money, but they always want to see participation from the community. And these are the 3 things we like to look at for starters: pickleball, community garden, and community center building. So it's strictly, definitely caution me right now, it's strictly getting the community together to start working on helping Deborah get a grant that's gonna be strong. And the Harmon Field Board approved this as well this past month, but as you know, the buildings out there and the property is owned by the town of Tryon. So any application Harmon Field wants to apply for, they'll approve it, they'll come to the town council for final approval. This is strictly information item if you want to support it and make something happen.
You just need a nod, or you need a motion now?
Again, I said motion that way, you have an official group, because I've been contacted by a few people this week who want to be on the committee. Because some support community gardens, some pickleball, some are really excited about getting that building restored.
Sure. Entertain a motion to set the committee as proposed by the manager. All in favor, aye. All opposed, likewise, motion carries. Item 11, town grant for Harmon Field.
When the town board approved your budget back in June, one of the main bullets of the budget this year was to be very proactive on maintenance throughout the town. I think Chris, you brought that up when I first met you. And we saw it at Rogers Park and other places that had really fallen into decay. And Harmon Field has been, after being gone 15 years, I've seen a park that was really nice. On the surface you drive by, it looks nice. When you get up close, you see restroom facilities. I wouldn't take my grandkids into them. Things are falling apart and weren't clean. The decks around buildings and walking trails, the boards are all rotted. Playground equipment has never been inspected. Public Works Director and I need someone to help do an inspection. Because this is the first playground I've been to where there's no mulch out there. Most of them have rubber mulch or engineered mulch, it's just dirt and mud. And so I think the citizens of the township and the town deserve better. And so we have an opportunity, the 3 employees have moved on, they resigned and moved on to other places. But we have an opportunity to pick up the maintenance level. And if you've been out there recently, you've already seen some dramatic changes already. And so one of the things that Harmon Field Board is going to be faced with is that the playground equipment and so forth, to get it up to pass inspection and get mulch in there and get the restrooms fixed and in order, it's going to require some additional money. And I don't think the taxpayers should have to wait another year to next year's budget. So this is my idea, it's not the Harmon Field Board, but I'm asking the town council if you could support a $10,000 grant from Harmon Field Board so they can make things happen as soon as possible. And then they'll come back and we'll make a presentation of where the $10,000 was spent on getting this part fixed.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor, aye. Opposed, likewise, motion carries. Item 12, 24 budget amendment number 2.
The item we talked about, the police vehicle and then the money we needed for the loan proceeds. The $10,000 for Harmon Field. And then the tourism board, Bill, they're approving $2,500 in grants. And so they felt that if we could amend their budget, they're using the fund balance, so they have some money to give out to other grants for downtown, rather than coming back to the town council again. It'd be out of their fund balance. And so that's the items that are before you. It affects the Harmon Field budget, the tourism budget, and general fund, of course, on the loan proceeds and the $10,000 Harmon Field. So that's in essence what the budget amendment number 2 is for this year.
Chair, will entertain a motion to approve budget amendment number 2.
I'll make the motion.
All in favor, aye. Opposed, likewise, motion carries. 13.
That's 10.
So we have a hearing for a text amendment for EV charging stations. You want to open it up, or do we open it up after the reading?
Either way.
Okay, I'll just read it. So we're going to, this would be an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinances of the town of Tryon to regulate electric vehicle parking. What we're going to do is add chapter 72, stopping, standing, and parking. 72.20 parking at parking space equipped with electric vehicle charging station. A, only electric vehicles plugged in or otherwise connected to an electric vehicle charging station may park in a parking space equipped with an electric vehicle charging station. B, an electric vehicle which is not plugged in or otherwise connected to an electric vehicle charging station is prohibited from parking in a parking space equipped with an electric vehicle charging station. And C, a non-electric vehicle is prohibited from parking in a parking space equipped with an electric vehicle charging station. This went through the planning board last Thursday. It was unanimously recommended to approve. And as you know, we have those two new spaces up at Depot Street. They're functional, they're being used here and there. This is just so when people are looking on their app for a charging station, they'll see that Tryon has one. If they drive there and people are parked in there without EV chargers, they're kind of out of luck. Because when you're using one, having an electric vehicle charger, it'll tell you on the app that there's a spot open or whatnot. So this just, this gives us enforcement capabilities if cars are parked in there when people are expected that they're going to be able to charge their car.
Have we looked at, when we have a beer fest and things like that, there and occupy all that space, would that still be available?
The grant that we got has a hourly available for a certain amount of time every day requirement. We can turn it off during the beer fest and not show up on the map and just make a note saying there's an event. So that in case of issues like that, we can adjust and let the public know.
And then that will show up on their app.
It should, yes, correct. Yeah, we can, yeah.
Any questions or comments about that? Okay. Move to the second.
Yes. Or do you, want to make a motion to adopt one?
You want to do them together or separate? Chair will entertain a motion to adopt 7220 as proposed by zoning and planning.
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
All in favor, aye. Opposed likewise, motion carries.
All right, the next one is an ordinance to amend the regulations and restrictions of the town of Tryon to define buoys and limit the distance personal buoys can be out from the shoreline at Lake Lanier. So currently, we do not have any of this defined. We have floats defined, but the floats are defined, are wooden platforms. So we are adding the definition to section 2 saying buoy is an anchored float serving as a navigation mark to mark shallow areas or other hazards. And under the section 7 prohibited uses or activities, we are adding the term personal buoys. So it reads, no boats, floats, personal buoys, or platforms shall be permanently moored, anchored, or attached to the lake bed more than 25 feet from shore. This is just to keep in line with our already general rule that nothing can go out farther than 25 feet. If some of these buoys go out too far, it's going to push traffic, boat traffic to the inside and might be a safety issue. And 25 feet is, I think, ample room for swimmers off of the shoreline. Again, it's just to keep congruency with what's already there. And again, this one also went through the planning board last Thursday and was unanimously recommended by all of them.
Okay. I have a motion to adopt this text amendment.
I'll make the motion.
All in favor, aye. Opposed likewise, motion carries. Item 15, TDA update.
Michelle was feeling under the weather, so she couldn't make the meeting, but she did make a detailed report last Friday to you, and a written report was in the agenda. One thing she's working on is for next year's budget is the downtown merchants on setting a municipal service district. And she's doing it the proper way. You want the merchants to come to this board with a petition they want to support the tax district. So that's one of the things she's working on. And all the special events that are going on.
And I've been working on that same thing, going around counting parking spaces where we might can pick up other parking spaces. And that genre So if you look at the thing, we can move behind the buildings, there are quite a few places in the basement that people might want to develop. And they may want to put main retail on Main Street and maybe a little cheaper than that if they were willing to do it for personal services, finance, an attorney or something like that. But you gotta have that back. And then, in my opinion, that would require the property owners to say, hey, we'll sign this over for you if you'll do this, and we'll get a certain amount of years to do that, and have to do it to follow through. We're never gonna get anything on the other side of the street because it doesn't exist, so maybe we can get on that back street and develop some. I know one person already wants to extend his building back there and put a couple small businesses on. Whatever that's worth, I've been working on that too, so. Minimum housing, Tim?
Before I do that, I just wanted to say on Michelle's behalf that Tryon Dog Mayor election is this weekend on the fourth Friday. If you want to vote online, go to tryondogmayor.com. All the proceeds are going to be split between Foothills Humane Society and Paws, Prayers, and Promises. We got a lot of great contestants out there. So we'll check it out and come on out Friday and have some fun. There's a plant sale as well. We'll have merchants and music.
Can we vote on Friday?
Up till 7 o'clock, yes. And there will be live. You can drop $1 in the bucket for your dog of choice.
They will always take money.
I know.
So hopefully you'll have your top hat and tux ready.
I do.
Okay. All right, minimum housing. 144 Cleveland was clean. We allowed some bricks to be remain for some infill as we did the house next to it. We've got 51 Shepherd and the Peach Street. The ordinances, I'm hoping to get those ready for next month. I don't have them prepared right now. 160 Cleveland, the resident has cleaned up the property. I have the residents that were there have moved out, took a lot of the stuff with them, but after receiving some information, it's a good candidate for minimum housing. So I've requested by the owner to get in there and inspect it for next week. So if it does not meet the minimum housing standards, we will move forward with demolition if that is the case. I have some junk vehicle notices out, so there are some around the neighborhoods. We're going to get those cleaned up.
Okay. Questions? Okay, item 17, town appointments, Salute Ray Trail.
Mr. Mayor, after the last meeting adjourned, I received an email from Southern Carolina. They wanted to have a meeting with 2 reps from Polk County, 2 from Salute and 2 from Tryon. And so I asked Bill if he can go with me. He did. We both attended. And so we're asking to appoint us officially to be the reps to this group. It's going to be 2 county commissioners, 2 from Salute, 2 from Tryon. It'll be a committee of 6 with Conservative Carolina. But I do want to add, the meeting went really well. I guess, Bill, the one surprise I heard was Tony Milton, the county chairman. He actually told us that the county commissioners, all of them were supportive of Salute Great Trail. They just wanted to make sure that communication was out to everybody and have a number of public meetings and talk about the process. Does anything else you want to add, Bill?
No, but you know, they do have concern about, you know, the EMT and police and security on the thing. But I think all that's, you know, so easily worked out with all the other trails around the country, how they handle it. And, you know, the fire chief still wants to grab Landrum and Salute and go visit the Virginia Creeper up in Virginia. So they have an idea of what's coming their way in 3 to 5 years.
So we need to appoint you guys?
You're supportive of that. We did the first meeting.
Yeah,
Really good.
I'm good with this too, to be honest.
Make a motion, make it all official,
Well, I so moved it.
all in favor, aye. All opposed, like last, carries your appointed. Sorry, you're outvoted. 18, town manager's report.
I've got a few items I want to add. One is, and I mentioned it during the earlier workshop, but for the people in the audience, you might recall that we went to State Senator Tim Moffitt and House Member Jake Johnson on 3 projects, which are having sewer problems, Hidden Hill, Oak Street, and Markham Grady. And as of right now, the budget's not officially approved, but we asked for $2,223,500. That's the amount that they put in the budget. So if it's approved this week, those 3 projects we funded, and we'll shed money shortly. So I'd like to proceed and go ahead and get a proposal from our engineer to get those project designs and we get them done as soon as possible. I know people have been waiting a long time, but when Tim Moffitt first contacted the mayor and I guess it's back in January, a number of homeowners are complaining about several sewer backups. We got notice of violations. And so I asked the state senator, I said, we need your help. And so rather than yelling at us, he and Jay Johnson both listened to us, and so fingers crossed we'll get approval at the end of this week. Second thing is, I'm going to be getting up tomorrow morning at 5. I got a phone call and an email from South Carolina DHEC. They're having a meeting tomorrow with FEMA on funding rehab of dams in South Carolina. And since our dams in South Carolina, I want to be heading down to Columbia to meet with them because it's a competitive grant, but if we get a FEMA grant, it'll pay for 75% of the funding. I think the difference can come from our state legislature. In the same format, we got money for Hidden Hill. So we'll have more to share next month. And the final thing is, on your agenda next month, we'll have a staff report recommending replacing the 3 streetlights downtown for the cost of your support. So that's everything I have in my report. Any questions?
Okay, Councilman Will Star, Bill Kroll, Bill Ingham, Pearson.
Yes.
Okay, Dean Sherrill.
I don't really have a lot, but I want to thank town staff. Our infield really starting to look nice and looking good. And the rest of the town, the police chief and everybody, and appreciate everything y'all do, and the citizens are coming out tonight.
Echo Bill's sentiments. It's nice to see a big crowd. We do listen, may not appear that way sometimes. But, and I want to thank the staff for all their hard work. The town looks good, except for on Sunday morning when the trash gets.
And the bears get in the trash.
That's all for me.
And I concur with these two, and I just want to say thank you. Everybody be safe, have a good night, and watch out for the bears. Just recently saw one walk a tree about an hour ago.
And they don't listen.
They don't have to.
They're silent, they don't have to listen. Don't have a whole lot, ladies and gentlemen, just want to say thank you. I'm downtown every day. I meet new people coming into this town every day. I meet people who love this town like I do, and some of them want to meet and move here. And I kind of nicely tell them, if you like what we do and like what we do, you're welcome here. And if not, I really wish you wouldn't come. And I literally have said that to some people, and I don't think I've offended but one person. And I'm sorry, but I really didn't care. I was having any of that lady did. I tell people, this is my favorite line here. I love trying not to, yes, we preserved what you destroyed. That's what we have. Citizens' comments. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand and be identified for the record.
Hi, I'm Rita Sego. I'm a citizen of China. And I just wanted to point out and find out if there's an ordinance against feeding the wildlife. Gottschall Hill is being plagued by the bears, and the deer are eating all of our plants that we're planting. And the bears are getting into the garbage on Newmarket and Broadway really badly. So I wanted to know if there's anything on the books that prevents that, because someone is feeding the animals in the neighborhood.
That would be me.
Yes.
That would be me, and you've had a problem with that for years. We can handle it, I think, outside of the
Well,
town
the
meeting.
thing is, I think things have been said to you before and nothing.
No, the nasty letter was left in my mailbox, and I never left it, but that's beside the point.
Well, and for
It is
for your
causing a
answer,
problem.
there is no policy here. Bears, et cetera, are controlled by something other than us. Deer and other things that come into this town. And the main reason they come here, folks, is we destroy their habitat, and then we get upset when they come here, but that's what we've done.
And
Yeah,
they're
but
coming long
if you're
before I
feeding
put
them,
any.
they're going to be coming in even more. So that's the problem, is the feeding of, I mean.
No, it's not a problem.
It is because in the
Coming
state, it's
long
actually
before
illegal.
This is
in
a
the
problem
state.
between you two, you can discuss it later. That's fine. And there's probably some truth in both sides.
So you're telling me there's nothing the town can do about this?
There's nothing on the books that we can do about this. No
Is
way.
there something that can be put on the books to
That would have to go
prevent
through
that?
our attorney and the manager.
I know in Pinehurst, they have something on the books for that. So I do know Pinehurst has that rule.
Okay.
Well, how do you stop somebody from putting bird seed?
It's not bird seed.
Well, yes, it is.
Well,
Something's gonna
we've
form.
had this, it's done. I'm calling on this next man, because it's not gonna be solved here tonight.
Okay, the other thing
I
is,
called that gentleman favor. I'm sorry, I'll get back to you, Shelley.
My name is Mike Broback, and my wife and I purchased the old McCall building back in 2020, I believe. And my son and I have been renovating it ever since. And we're about a year away from launching a business there, beer, wine, and food. And my request actually tonight is that when I was taking a look at the ordinances, I think it's section 111, there's specific areas designated in Tryon that folks could have open carry of alcoholic beverages, and it's very specific. It doesn't include Pacolet Street, so my property is on 60 Pacolet, and my request to the board is to take a look at that and see if there's a possibility of amending or adopting a resolution to include Pacolet Street in that process. I've been working on it, like I said, for about 3.5 years. So we're excited about it. The other issue is there's kind of a gap now anyway. I don't think a lot of the citizens that come into town recognize that they can't have an alcoholic beverage or walk up there because the parking, as you know, is plentiful up that way. So a lot of folks currently do it outside of the ordinance. So I thought I would request that of the board to consider.
How we made adjustment to that?
I don't think we did.
Some people.
Did we make it for the whole family? We're gonna have to do some research, but he came in, I told him to talk to you first, because the ordinances came eventually through you. But that man right there is probably gonna tell us what it is. It is illegal when it lands on his desk.
I think it's feasible.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I think it should be up there. I mean, we've got another restaurant coming in that area, and so it just makes sense.
Susan's gonna research this. She was.
And Depot Street too, with Parkins on Depot. So it'd be nice to have Depot and Pacolet Street.
With the way things are going, we're gonna have to retool several of our ordinances, we understand that. And the closer that we get to the railroad, we're gonna find out that some ordinances we don't have that we're gonna need. And that's just the growing pains of what we're gonna do. I have no objection to what you said, none. I think it's a great thing to help, but I wanna make sure it's done right. That becomes a legal thing.
Council or planning board?
Will this council recommend that I put something together and give it to you as a ordinance adoption, or is this different one, alcohol involved?
This is the same.
Is that what you're?
Yeah,
Under number 4.
I don't think that has to go to the planning board, right?
Okay.
So maybe a motion to direct staff to research and come back next month?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a motion.
Get
All in favor, aye. Opposed likewise. Okay, have something next month.
Thank you.
Shelley, you had your hand up.
I just wanted to make a comment on the bears. And feeding of the bears, that is a bird feeder. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bill.
Well,
Bird feeders.
I'm not
I
going to
call them
argue
bear
with you.
feeders.
That's right.
I am not going to argue with you one way or the other. A bear will search until he or she finds food, whatever is there.
Is
There
there,
is no answer that we have at this point. Realistically, you know that and I know that.
okay, is there any way that we can research bear-proof trash cans at a reasonable cost for town residents?
Well, the first thing to do is call the town that's further up the mountain and what they do in the kind that they have, because those are there, particularly in higher elevations.
Where is this?
In any higher elevation, the large primary
Highlands
example.
is a good example of bears.
Islands, yeah. The staff can get to that. It's
I
something.
meant for residents,
Yes,
okay.
yes. I know some people in the Brevard area that live far enough out that they have a trash can that they screw the top down or something, but it works.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Skip Grove, resident Tryon. And with all the changes we have looking at us for the next 5 to 10 years, I would like to recommend that we do some charrettes around town. We were living in Chattanooga, Tennessee, when Jack Lupton, one of the benefactors of the city, funded a series of town or city charrettes. Brought in Robert Roush, the designer. And I think we need voices from the whole city. Warren said nobody consulted you on the traffic thing. And I would like to see if we could possibly get some grant money available to hold charrettes and bring in some city planners so the whole town can participate in this road we're getting ready to do. I've talked to one individual who concerns Carolina, and they said they would be willing to probably fund some of that also, so.
And we have a group that was
Here is
here.
a group of, when you
And
bring
did-
architects, and bring
So,
town people.
share it with everybody.
I'm sorry.
Share it with
The
everybody.
question was, what is a charrette? And it is,
It's basically a drawing and an idea of what something should look like in the future.
but it's done by people that live there, and then professionals do the design.
Yes, and they do the work.
They take the design. It's
And
not,
we have had one for downtown on the side streets. Much of that has been done, all of it has not, and probably some of it is outdated now because of what might be coming through here. You're correct. It's just like everything else we said here. I'd love to say we get a committee and start that tomorrow. We have, and pardon me for saying it like this, we probably have $25 million worth of needs. And if we could get a grant, that would be absolutely fantastic. We get people to come in and do that. And then we got Downtown Development Association,
Sure.
Tourism Association.
well, I've talked to all these folks, and everybody's on board, so.
I don't think it's anybody that would not be on board with that.
Okay. Well, I would like to spearhead some effort to see if we can get some money in here, because I think the whole town, I mean, there's a handful of people that make decisions, but we need the whole town to participate in this, because it's gonna affect everybody when rails comes through here. All right?
Yep, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
In addition.
Please always state your name because she makes this a public record.
Jean Pruitt, I'm a Tryon resident. In addition to what he's saying, I think as Tryon develops more, we should take into consideration what the needs of the town is. We are a community with children, and we need to focus on everybody's need before we develop too much.
Randall, do you have your hand up?
Colonel, west of Lincoln Street. I was just wondering that in the future, is it ever possible to like get another trash can for the east side, particularly like in the intersection between like Peak and Markham Road, and I do that because I was picking up with it, and I think getting another one would like help who do that, who decide to do that.
You talking about another trash can brand?
Yes, that's it. And it has, and this was like, this has nothing to do with the bales.
I think we can help you out there.
Okay, Joyce, you had your hand up.
Joyce Hampton, I'm glad y'all here with. And they are plentiful. A suggestion, I know we're getting closer and closer to moving the maintenance shed. Please do not sell that piece of property until you have made some decision that's accountable for that little brick building.
Okay.
You have plenty of parking down there. You have parking, you can take that maintenance shed down and do what Labor has done with their farmer's market and get something back from that area. Don't just throw it away because you're not in the mood right now to do something with that little brick building. That brick building is a part of this town's history since 1928.
We have talked about
We have talked about it. I think we'll put public restrooms there, preserves that building, you parking around it. We had talked about 2 other places putting restrooms and people complained because they said older folks couldn't walk up the hill. I'll let you know when I get older. But we'll try to fix those things, and I think that would be a perfectly good place. I don't get a vote before other people get to get a vote. So my idea is to sell them at some point. But I think that would be a perfect place.
I'd like to see the building stay myself, the little red brick building.
Yeah.
It's got historic.
And that was your fire department and your town hall and your police department was behind it. So it's an important part of the history of this town. We've torn down too much already. Thank you.
I can suggest that to the Historic Preservation Commission, and maybe we can get that designated.
Alan, you had your hand up?
Yes, Bill mentioned something about the garbage on Sundays. I know downtown on Trade Street on Sundays, there's several spots that the garbage is just bags.
Bill brought that up in our work session.
Yeah, we did in our work sessions talking, trying to come to a decision on that, research some things to see what we can do.
Now, does the town pick up garbage on Trade Street on Saturdays and Sundays?
Yes.
Oh, you do?
Probably Sunday problems.
Oh, not Sunday.
We're trying to work
It's on Sunday.
a solution where we find a place where the merchants can take that trash on Sunday and not leave it on the street.
Okay.
So I think we need a common sense solution. There's no reason to bring back our sanitation employees on Sunday for pickup for a couple of businesses. If we can get them to work with us on it.
Oh, good.
So we're gonna try to work on an idea that might make more sense.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Vote. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor, aye. All in favor, aye. All opposed, likewise. Motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.